Hello again, my name is Dave Hill and welcome to Lesson 16. We've been having a lot of fun so far, haven't we? A lot of neat stuff we've been learning about, and hopefully you guys are practicing hard at home. But let's continue on with something really fun today, and that's the concept of power chords. Okay, because not every progression that you're going to play, not every song you're going to play is going to be full, major, and minor chords. Sometimes there's chords that sort of fall in between the cracks, and those are called power chords. A lot of the times they're called power chords. Okay, so let's talk about what that means exactly and how you would justify these kinds of chords. Well, let's look back at our board here and take a look at the spelling of a basic triad, a major triad. Okay, major triad, as we've learned before, is built off the root, the major third of the chord, and the perfect fifth of the chord. And when you hear that kind of a chord, it sounds just simply like this. Right? And there's different ways you could stack the notes together that would make it sound unique, but it's still, all of that basically is a major chord. And it's because it has three complete musical intervals: the root, the major third, and the fifth of the scale. Okay? But what happens if I do this? What happens if I get rid of that third right there, and all I have is the root and the fifth? Okay? Does that sound bad to your ear? Listen to it. Not too bad. Not too bad. It kind of has a little bit more oomph when you play it lower. And it also sounds a little cool when you have a little bit of, check this out. Right? When you add a little distortion from an amp or a pedal. Now that's starting to sound pretty cool, isn't it? Okay, that's because it has the combination of the root and the fifth create together frequencies and upper harmonics that ring to make it sound a little bit more complex than it really is. It's just something about that sound that has a lot of power and a lot of raw simplicity that works well in a lot of rock and roll and blues and just strong riffs on the guitar, and that's called a power chord. You might also see it written as 5 or A5. A5 simply means it's just the root and the fifth. So in this case, I've given you a bunch of different voicings with power chords, okay? And every one of them, there might be more than one. You can see in this case there's an open A string, and then there's 2 notes here. But these notes are just either a fifth right there or the root again. So it's 3 notes, but it's still just root and fifth, right? So this A power chord is taking advantage of the A open string, and then the fifth here, and then the fretted A here. So we have, okay? And you'll notice that I'm playing a Les Paul on this particular example in this lesson. It's because the Les Paul particularly has a good, strong, chunky sound that's great for power chords and heavier chordal kind of thing. So I like to use my Les Paul when I have to play heavy power chord rhythm. On other kinds of songs, I might use my Strat or my Telecaster for different kinds of sounds, but I think this is a good sound for power chord. Okay? Now we also have the open A position of a power chord. It's basically based off the A major chord that you could play if you wanted to play fully. But there's also the fifth position A chord, right, that we know right here. But if you get rid of all that on the bottom, or on the top rather, and you just play the bottom notes, you got another power chord. You got an A5 power chord. Some people like to even play just this, and then they might not even play that. So you could just play it with two fingers here. Or you could bar across and play the other fifth above it, or the other root above it, okay? Now we could also move that up to the next set of strings and play a pattern 2 power chord. In this case, I'm playing at E, right? And check out what I've got here. That's just exactly where you'd think it would be if it were playing a pattern 2 E bar chord that you'd originally think of coming from here. Okay, so once again, just a power chord, it just has to be root and fifth. In this case, 2 roots. And we can also play that with a lower E and then fifth and root, just like we did with the A chord over here. We have a low position of E power chord. Okay, so that gives us a lot of low there to work from, okay? Okay, and then finally we also have an open string version of a D form, and that takes advantage of the open D root here, and then a fifth and a root here. Okay, so that gives us a nice variety of places to go with open power chords and then movable power chords. Okay, so that's all part of what we're going to use for power chording, and it's going to be really important on this next lesson. Okay, so let's take a look at the board here and show you how this is all going to come together. Okay, so now that we've talked about the power chords and I've shown you some voicings, how to play them over the neck, we're going to examine how to put them in a really neat progression I came up with that might remind you of a certain group from Australia. And I call this one Power Chord Fun. I hope you can see that all right at home here. But pretty much every chord I wrote, I put it as a 5 chord to let you know that it's not a major triad, it's just a power chord. Okay, so those voicings that I gave you should help you figure out what to play. Okay, now you'll see a lot more rhythm information in this board here. Okay, and that's because it's got a certain rhythm that really makes it, that gives the song its character. Okay, so let me show you what I've done here. You can see that it sets up with some syncopations here. In this case, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 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 1. Now here's the fourth ending. Okay, what this means here is that you go from here 1, 2, 3 times. On the third time, after the third time, you take this back to the repeat, and then you go to the fourth ending. And that's where I just was. So you'd be right here from the third ending, fourth ending, and then we're at the B section. Okay? Two, 3. Now we go. Two, 3. And that takes us up to the C section. But you can see I'm just playing the power chords here, the voicings that I showed you. They're real simple to play, but they sound great in this kind of a progression. Okay? And so after we get to the C section, here we go. I let a chord ring a little longer here. And that means I let it ring for the whole bar here. So I'm going to go like this. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And we're back to the top. Okay, isn't that cool? Right away it starts to sound like a song we're familiar with. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm thinking A. Nah, I'm not going to give it away. Okay, so let's make sure this is all right here. Okay, now that I've shown you all the cool chords to make power chord fun, we're actually going to play my little progression on the board, and it's going to be undeniable what the vibe that I was going for with this progression, because I think you're going to recognize it. Okay, so you've got all the right voicings now, all the right chords. I hope you get a little distortion sound out of your amp at home and get it cranked up. All right.